Welcome, everybody, to Spirituality Adventures. This is a non-judgmental place to explore spirituality, and we're so glad you're here. This is a viewer and listener-supported podcast, so we greatly appreciate your support. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, share, and subscribe to any of the social media content platforms that you're using. And then if you go to our website, spiritualityadventures.com, you can make a one-time donation, or with a monthly subscription, you'll gain access to our bonus content. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome, everybody, to Spirituality Adventures. We are excited to have Rachel McMillan with us today. Thanks for joining us, Rachel. Rachel has had a career in singing and makeup artist, and she's worked with radio, The Buzz, the 96.5 The Buzz, which was one of my favorite stations. And so thanks for joining us today, Rachel.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So I always like to start with people's background a little bit, like where you're born, where you grew up, all that kind of stuff.
I was born in North Kansas City, so born and raised Kansas City. I've kind of always stayed up north. So my whole family's here. I've kind of dabbled in Overland Park and the Lenexa area, and then I'm back up north now.
Okay. So like what elementary, junior high, high school?
Elementary school was Southeast Elementary. Middle school was Plaza and Lakeview, and then I graduated from Park Hill South in 2013.
Okay. All right. I was in Plaza, like in 6th and 7th grade.
Yeah.
And then went over to Park Hill before there was ever a Park Hill South. I'm way older than you, but at any rate, yeah. And Southeast, I knew a lot of teachers at Southeast, so probably knew some of those. Well, cool. So like, tell us, what were you into in school when you were growing up? What kinds of things were you involved in? Especially in high school, like.
Yeah, absolutely. I always enjoyed singing. I did singing competitions in high school, and I lettered in music in the choir every year. And so we would go get ready for these competitions at Mizzou and compete from all the Missouri high schools.
So was this like Park Hill South?
Yeah.
That had a choir that traveled, competed, and so, you were a part of that?
Yep. So we had a choir that competed with that, and then we had a smaller choir where you had to audition to get in. And so I was in that, and that was consisted of 8 people, and that opened up my eyes to want to do more. Right. And then I did more solo stuff, competed with that, and then I also was in broadcast journalism for my high school, and I did the student news. So, and then I did a debate as well. Wow. Yeah.
Any theater stuff at all?
I did theater. I did 2 shows, and then I ended up in the makeup department. So I had more interest in doing makeup for the actors, and but I was more along the lines of the behind the scenes person for that.
Yeah, interesting. So I'm curious, like I'm bad at knowing when, like the series Glee, when it came out. How old were you?
I don't know. Pretty young. Yeah. Because I mean, I heard about it, but I never really got super into. Yeah.
You didn't? No. Okay. I wasn't sure I wanted to watch that, but then like I ended up watching a few episodes, and then I got really hooked on it. I really ended up liking it. And it made me wonder if there were, if it inspired young people to get into
theater,
music, theater, all that kind of stuff. I just, that's why it popped into my head. I was just kind of curious. So what was your inspiration? Why were you drawn to music at such a young age?
So my family and close family friends would have like get-togethers, and my uncle had this DJ equipment, and he invested in these like karaoke microphones and decided to have like karaoke in our family get-togethers, and that's kind of where it started. I was 8 whenever I started singing in front of my family. And I sang Evanescence, Bring Me to Life. And then just the feedback I got from my family, they're like, we didn't know you could do that. We didn't know you could sing. I think I've sang like little hums and, here and there, but I don't think I was really comfortable singing in front of people until that moment.
Yeah, so Evanescence, I saw Evanescence in Kansas City at the Beaumont.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing concert. And it wasn't a huge concert.
Yeah.
And so I was like right in front of Amy Lee.
That's amazing.
That'd be awesome. just blowing it out, right? And man, that's a powerful song.
Yeah.
So you're singing that at 8.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So did you have any kind of faith background at all? Did you
so
any church singing or anything like that?
Well,
just kind of curious.
I was raised Mormon.
Okay.
Till I was baptized at 8, and then I was in the Mormon church till about 12. And got out of it, and I don't really have anything too much to say about the background other than like I feel like it gave me a good foundation, but I kind of been bouncing here and there to figure out what I want to do spiritually.
Yeah. So this wasn't RLDS, right? This was
LDS.
The LDS. Yeah. And when did they build the big temple out here in north of the river?
Oh
gosh, that's been a decade ago.
I went to a church in Platte City, so it's been some time. Yeah. So all the way.
Yeah. I had a cycling buddy who went up there to that. What do they call they have a name for them. Do they call
Latter-day Saints?
Yeah, but no, they don't call it a church, do they? They call it something else, like anyway, maybe it is. They just call it a church.
Yeah, that's like way back in the memory bank.
Yeah. No, that's all right.
Yeah.
So did they have choirs?
They did.
Yeah.
They did, but I never sang.
You didn't jump in there. Yeah. So it was all school related.
Yep.
And karaoke was the thing that got you going, got you inspired. All right.
I was super involved in music. My older sister was as well. She also sings, but I think I wanted to do more with it. She kind of did it for fun. And I was like, I want to be a singer. And that's kind of...
So what music were you drawn to as you went through high school and then post high school? What were give us kind of your musical. I
specifically remember being really into Mariah Carey, Toni Braxton. Like I would always sing Unbreak My Heart. And I liked Evanescence a lot. I liked Paramore. Super into just the female-led vocals, especially when they led bands. So I was like, I want to do that, And but whenever I competed in a choir, I was all choirs music, like German led lullabies or something crazy that I would not normally sing, but it gave me that background. And then as soon as I graduated from high school, I basically had to reteach myself to sing rock music, because I had this choral background that I was told to do different techniques, and I had to basically teach myself how to break those techniques to sing rock music. And so now I enjoy singing rock music a lot more. And I do, when I first started getting into the music scene outside of high school, I was actually doing background music and vocals for R&B and hip hop artists. So it's kind of like very all around the table here. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So now you write music as well. I do.
How old were you when you started trying to write music?
That's been very recent too. I was working at a travel agency full time, and so that was probably 4 years ago. I really started writing. But I remember writing in my cubicle, and I
need that clock going. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
writing in my cubicle, and I had a lot of stuff built up, and I found comfort in writing music. And I just joined a band too, and I knew that's kind of something I had to really get into and learn.
Yeah.
And, but I was really into music, and I listened to a lot and was inspired by a lot of different music genres.
So tell me about your process for writing. How do you get your inspiration? What is it? Do you actually sit down and plan out time to write, or is it more spontaneous?
It's more spontaneous. I like to drive a lot, and my job now allows me to drive. I'm on the road quite a bit, and there's times where I just turn down the radio. I don't want to hear anything. I just want to drive, and that's where I get my inspiration, is whenever I'm not overstimulated by other sounds or distracted by other music. And so I just get inspiration by being on the road, and it just comes to me. There's times where it would come to me in the shower, and I hoped that I would remember it,
Right.
by the time I got out. But a lot of the music that I write was actually I came up with in the car.
Yeah.
As weird as that is.
Do you put it on voice memo or something like that?
Yep. I'll record it on a video, 3, 2, 1. I would start singing. This is what I have in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of the times when my band and I first started writing, I would send that melody to them, and they would just take it and go along with it. Yeah.
Cool. What were your main themes?
Self-development, I'd say. Just overcoming obstacles. I have a lot of that. I have a lot of just overcoming self-doubt a lot of the time. I feel like that's something I personally deal with quite a bit. And it's kind of crazy how I'm doing what I'm doing because I had so much self-doubt and pursuing it, and now I'm doing it. And when I'm like, I didn't see myself doing this at all.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you have, do you have video of when you were singing young, karaoke, all that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think there's a video of me singing Bring Me to Life in 8th grade on YouTube.
I wish we could.
Have that fired up.
We need to have that.
But there are some
That'd
other
be fun.
Yeah. Some other. Oh, and there was another video of me singing on a cruise ship. Singing with this guy that plays piano. He was performing on the cruise ship, and then I think that's kind of what led me to want to sing professionally. Is I performed with this guy, and it went really well. I sang "House of the Rising Sun" by the Animals, and it was just all impromptu. He was just reading off of his iPad, and I sang, and my dad recorded it, and just how many people enjoyed it. I started crying.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was pretty
That's awesome.
impactful, I thought.
So your parents encouraged you in your singing career?
Yeah. I'd say there were times where I feel like I had to do stuff to really prove that this is something I wanted to do. And my mom just wanted to be protective, and she was like, full-time job, and have a backup plan, which I've always thought in the back of my head. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was kind of, it was hesitant because she cared. Mm-hmm. And same thing with my dad. But now I'm doing it because I half listened, right. I should say.
Yeah. So let's, if you don't mind, let's talk about the self-doubt stuff just a little bit.
Yeah.
Cause I can certainly, I've had a lot of that the last couple of years with all I've gone through, but what was that like for you? What obstacles did you feel like you had to overcome when it comes to some of that?
I feel like I do have some natural ability to do things, but then I don't feel like I earlier said I feel like a jack of all trades and master of none. I didn't learn to read music until I was a senior in high school. I didn't grow up playing any instruments. I just sang, and most of that was developed because I sang karaoke. So I never learned how to play any instruments. Didn't learn to read music until senior in high school. And then when I graduated and went to college, I had to write these symphonies, and just doing the whole math and different notes. I was like, this is very difficult for me. I didn't know how to do this. So, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so I feel like I just didn't have these skills built up that maybe some other people had an advantage of growing up playing instruments. And So, I think that's where some self-doubt comes, is I just don't feel like I'm experienced enough.
Okay.
It's, but then just real world.
Do you have, like, I wrote a blog a few, I don't know, weeks or months ago on like my inner critic. Cause I have a pretty harsh inner critic.
Yeah.
Like I will speak to myself in ways that I would never speak to another
Anybody
person.
else. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And especially the last few years, but I think it's always been there a little bit. And, I've really had to work on kind of like that voice and where does it come from and why is it so harsh and why am I having a hard time forgiving myself and loving my, being compassionate toward myself, all those kind of things. So, but has that been a big thing for you to overcome, or is it just mostly like experience based? Like, are you like, because you don't feel like you've got this breadth of training in all these different areas? Is it more about that?
And I think, I come from, my grandparents are immigrants, so wanting to have a life here, and your
grandparents?
My grandparents are
came
immigrants.
From?
So my grandma's from Cuba.
Okay.
And my grandfather's from Mexico.
Okay.
And they believe in hard work and just doing kind of what you're told, and wanting to, it was just kind of like, you don't have these huge dreams other than the big dream was to live in America. And my mom kind of grew up that way, where she's like, you need to have a job where it's 9 to 5, you have insurance benefits, and, you'll be taken care of. And I've never really thought that way. I've just been always an entrepreneurial mindset. And still to this day, sometimes, I will have, discussions with my family, like how different it is. And, and I got my first taste of them being right with the pandemic. But, my mom was like, you need to go into healthcare. And I was like, I just don't have a desire to do that.
Yeah.
I'm happy with what I'm doing. So, hopefully it didn't get
isn't that interesting? Because I think in the older generations, I mean, certainly my dad's generation, but I mean, maybe even mine, you can have this mindset where kind of like the financial security piece of the thing is like the most important thing. Yeah. And like, it's not so important to follow your passion.
Right.
You can get financially, you need to follow financial security. You need to get financially secure. And you can do what you love on the side.
Right.
You don't have to get paid for that. But I think, so I'm pretty entrepreneurial, and I worked a bunch of different jobs when I was younger and going through college and studies and stuff. But I've always kind of followed my passion, which, and even with Spirituality Adventures, that's what I'm doing now. And it doesn't always immediately lead to security or financial security, all that, but I am following my heart.
Yeah. It's hard to explain a vision to somebody that doesn't see it.
Right.
If you're the only person that can, and, because in their mind that they have what's worked out for them, and they just feel like you should, try that same path, and you were wired different and want to try something else. And so far it's been working out for me that way. So, knock on wood, but
yeah. Well, cool. So you college, post-college, that kind of stuff, you still kind of stayed into, you've always been in the music world, right? Let's talk about, you worked, one of the stations I listened to was Buzz.
Yeah.
The Buzz 96.5.
Yeah. 96.5, the Buzz.
I used to either listen to them or the Bridge when I was driving around for years. Yeah. For years and years and years.
Well, I'll take it back to the very beginning. I remember being in high school and listening to the Buzz in the morning. Every morning when I would wake up and get ready for school, I would listen to Fentra on the Buzz. Mm-hmm. And I just remember, like, I want to work for that station one day. That's what I told myself. And I remember whenever I graduated and had when I went to college, I tried to be an intern for that station and I didn't get picked. So I ended up going with this other station that's like their rival, like, parent company station. And I'm not going to say the name because I don't want them to get in trouble, but my college wouldn't recognize their college credit because there wasn't that at my college that I went to. So, but I eventually ended up getting picked for an internship. So I was actually, like, illegally working there, but I wanted the experience and I didn't care. I wanted the experience to be in radio. And I didn't care if I was going to get college credit for it and I wasn't getting paid for it. I just wanted to be there. And they knew that. I found out later that they knew that I wasn't going to get college credit for it and I'm just there working. But I enjoyed it and I was there for 6 months. And after that, I was hoping to get brought on full time, and believe they lost my resume 3 times, or they just didn't have the finances to bring me on full time, because radio is kind of like that. You just never know. And I kind of got discouraged, and so I ended up ending my internship with them. And but I ended up remaining friends with a lot of them because radio is such a small world, and you eventually will run into them sometime again. And I ended up leaving, and then maybe 8 months later, I see a job on Indeed because I was just looking through jobs. I'm like, I needed to find something else because I was working at as a waitress, and I was like, I need to find something else that I would enjoy. And then I see 96.5 The Buzz, 98.9 The Rock, like working for assistant promotions director, and I applied and I ended up getting a call and emailing, and then I got my interview and I landed the job. And I remember crying because I'm like, this is what I wanted since high school. And yeah, so I worked with them for almost 4 years.
Nice.
So
what are some of the highlights of that 4 years?
Concerts, and I loved working with the people. I got exposed to a lot of the music business that if I wasn't involved in, I don't think I would have ever been. I tell myself that I have had a lot of once in a lifetime experiences because of the radio job. I've got to meet a lot of my idols.
So tell us about that.
So I met the Kooks.
Okay.
Yeah. I helped with the concerts and the promotions, and I got to meet the Lady Gaga's marketing person that would help her with her tours. So he would come with her, and I met him, and he also manages other acts, big acts. But yeah, I just remember Lady Gaga off the top of my head.
Right. And
I got to see Metallica for free because I worked for the station. I got to see, so many. Just, what is it? Steel Panther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so just crazy stuff like that. And when I worked for 98.9, it would be Rockfest, and that would be a long day, 23-hour day kind of thing. It was just nuts. But we looked forward to it, and it was always a lot of fun. And you don't have concerts like that anymore, and not anywhere near here as much. It's like you have the huge music festivals where they're like 3 days, but that was the one where it was like a one-day music festival. Yeah. And cheap alcohol there. So.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's cool. So what, what year did you start with the band, Parvenu? Parvenu.
2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys did 2 EPs? And did you write all the songs on that?
I did.
Or co-write, or?
I wrote most of them, with the help of my guitarist, Thorin. And, he also sings. He was a vocalist teacher, and so I have like the best of both worlds there. So he would teach me a lot because I wasn't trained in that way. I never had voice lessons. I just had choir. And I worked with him a lot because he would help students, and he also was a guitar teacher. So felt like I learned a lot.
So I was looking up Parvenu on iTunes. And you can get it on Spotify, and you can probably get it at Bandcamp, I guess, or wherever. But so you have to be a little bit careful because there's a DJ Parvenu. If you want to go listen to Rachel's voice, she's got a great voice.
Thank you.
So you can check that out, but it's not DJ Parvenu. It's just Parvenu artist. It's got anyway, yeah. So I don't know how to describe it. I won't try to do that.
Yeah, with that, we are starting a new project due to, one of the members that we had for Parvenu left, and we decided to pursue different sounds and just kind of cultivate a different music experience. And we haven't announced that yet, but we just picked a name, and we've been writing music since COVID, honestly, since 2020. We've been working on this. And when I moved away briefly, temporarily, and I got all this equipment and started recording from home. And basically that was the skill I learned, was trying to record my voice at home. And I would just send it off to the boys and have them record on top of that. And we started writing music virtually, is what I call it.
Yeah. So you're not sharing the new name yet? That's not out? You don't have to. I'm just...
Yeah, well, we just picked it, so I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
And hope that everything works out. But yeah, it's Sylarin.
Spell it.
Sylarin.
Give us what that means.
It's kind of made up, but I thought of the name Sirens, and Sirens was taken. There's so many. I've spent hours trying to find a one-word name, and I could not find anything. And so I just was researching Sylarin, and it was like League of Legends character or something?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I think that's all I could find on it, and it wasn't even a huge character from what I could tell. So that's kind of what we stuck with, because I feel like that might work with what we're writing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And Parvenu was a rock. Yeah. Like a soul rock.
Yeah.
Is that what you like to call it?
I call it soul rock, and I almost would say this Parvenu is a little lighter than what we're writing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Yep. It just has, with a new drummer, it just brings different dynamic to the sound that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Matt, do you know the band members that she's played with with Parvenu? I'm talking to Matt Cox, our videographer.
No, not with Parvenu.
Okay.
I know several of the people that she plays with wedding stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, we haven't got to that yet. So, yeah. I was trying to remember with your connection with her band. So, all right. So Matt doesn't know the Parvenu guys and gals, but you're doing a traveling wedding band now, right?
Yeah.
Called KC FLO.
Correct. Yeah. It's under the Patrick Lentz band umbrella. There's 4 bands. That's the parent company, Patrick Lentz, and then KC FLO is specifically regionally we perform. So Kansas City, I've been to Omaha a few times, Des Moines, lots of Iowa weddings. So they're branching out, and they just recently went to Cabo. So in Mexico, I did a wedding there. It's amazing.
Serious?
Yeah.
These are destination weddings. Dang. It's amazing to me how much money people spend on weddings these days, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Because when I got married, I think our wedding would have been considered fairly expensive, but we did it at a church, so the church really didn't cost a lot of money. Yeah. We probably had 600 people show up.
Oh my. I
had probably 8 or 9, groomsmen. Wow. It was a big wedding party.
Right.
But my parents did the It did probably like a barbecue meal for the for the reception thing, and then we had cake and punch afterwards. We didn't serve everybody a big meal.
Right.
We didn't. We had some singing in the wedding, but we didn't have a big band afterwards. Like people really weren't like doing destination weddings back then, unless you're, I guess, rock stars or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm talking like in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And so people just weren't doing, those kind of weddings. And ours was kind of considered big and expensive and all that kind of stuff. But it would be like considered nothing today. I was reading statistics now on the average couple and what they spend on a wedding now. It's just
crazy.
It's over. I think it's over 25,000.
Yep, that sounds about. I think I read 30.
Yeah,
that's
the average.
Yeah.
So, but people can spend. It's just, and that's the average, right?
Yeah.
So
incredible.
Yeah. So it's a big industry, right? Yeah. The wedding industry is a big industry. One of the podcasts that I have been on is, and I mentioned this to you in private, is with Timmy Gibson. Mm-hmm. He has the Timmy Gibson Show. Timmy used to be a pastor in Kansas City, and but he probably does a wedding every single weekend. Mm-hmm. And then of course Matt Cox is doing photography for weddings. I have a niece who's with Lala Inspired. I did an interview with her, and she's doing photography and weddings and family photos. Yeah. And she also does a videography thing where she does for elderly people, where they capture stories and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
But at any rate, such a huge industry. So you literally are traveling all around the Midwest and Cabo.
I didn't get to go to Cabo because I was too new, so they rewarded that with.
Any of you guys who are planning a destination wedding, get a hold of KC FLO. How do they get a hold of you if they're interested in that? They
would have to reach out to Patrick Lentz, the contact info, their email address, and they would have to set it up.
And how do they do that? What is there a website or?
Yep, we have a website.
What is it?
Patrick Lentz.
Spell his last name.
LENTZ.
Okay.
Yeah, Patrick Lentz.
.com. Mm-hmm. And then go there, and then you can go start booking bands.
That's right. PLB.
Yeah. All right.
Lentz Band. Yeah.
But so you could have Rachel McMillan sing at your wedding, or for you grandparents out there, you could have, your kids or your parents, you could have kids' weddings. Some of you might have grandkids' weddings, that kind of thing. Yeah. So, and what kind of music are you doing at these weddings?
It's cover music, but it spans from we have My Girl, we have something for every demographic. So can appease the older crowds, can appease the younger crowds. We got top 40 in there, got just the good hits.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's never boring.
Right.
We always have people on the dance floor. So
yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. So meals, dance, music, drinks, everything going on. And you're doing this almost every weekend now? So is it kicked back in? Because, I know the pandemic hit and really kind of wiped out some of your your industry, right?
Yeah. So when I worked for the radio station, everything was on hold because there wasn't any concerts or mass events that need to be produced. So I took a break from radio. And then I also worked in business travel, and was on a halt till further notice. And then I got informed of this job opening that they needed female vocalists at Patrick Lentz, and somebody that was already working with them, he was a drummer, recommended me. And I haven't talked to this person in so long, so to hear from him and telling me about it, I almost didn't go for it because I was so nervous. I was like, I've never done this. I've never sang cover music to wedding bands, or with a wedding band. I just didn't think that that self-doubt coming in. I just didn't feel prepared. And then I told myself right now I'm childless. I don't have anything big going on in my life. Nothing should be holding me back. When else am I going to do this, basically? And so I just told myself, screw it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to see what this entails, see how it goes. I'm going to try to feel this out. And then 45 minutes later, I get a call, and I interviewed on the phone for like almost an hour. And so they interviewed me, and next thing I know, I had my first wedding in July, and I got the job in May. And I just remember loving it so much. I'm like, this is what I've been looking for. And I feel a sense of fulfillment from performing, because it's a different way of performing than what I would do with my original band. Okay. So yeah, I feel like I get different aspects of singing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're in a big family, big wide age group, dance floor, it's a celebrative time. Like when you were doing gigs with Parvenu, you're probably in bars and clubs and
like local music venues. We travel just a little bit regionally, but there'd be a lot smaller shows that just be different. There's people that just came for a good time and drinks, but it's just totally different. I enjoy both of them. Yeah. For different reasons.
And then you also got into the doing makeup artist stuff with weddings as well, right? Yeah.
So I just got a job working as a makeup artist. And I've been doing that for 4 months now. And the story behind that is I actually got COVID in 2020 and lost my voice. So I couldn't really sing. This was before the wedding band and everything. And that was like my main hobby. That's what I enjoyed to do, or that's what I like to do. And couldn't sing. I couldn't sing what I used to. I didn't have the range, and like my voice was healing. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to hope that it comes back. And then I just started doing makeup. I started like researching these different techniques, trying all these new palettes. And I started documenting my looks on my Instagram profile. I started taking pictures. And then it kind of like caught on with people, and people really enjoyed my looks. And it was just a different way of being creative without using my voice. So that was different, like fulfilling in different ways because I couldn't sing. So I was waiting for my voice to heal. And then because of the Instagram profile that I have and all these pictures that I documented through the pandemic, when I picked it up, that's how I ended up getting my job.
Cool.
So it's kind of like a full circle moment because I didn't go to school for it. I'm self-taught, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. So how do people find you on Instagram?
So I just created a new one, McFeeling Glam. So it's
spell it out.
McFeelingGlam.
McFeeling Glam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when I did radio, my last name was Rachel McMillan Good, and so I changed it to McFeeling Glam. So
good.
Yeah.
McFeeling Good, McFeeling Glam.
Yep.
Awesome. And then how about this new band that you're coming out with? You're already starting to record stuff. So
yes.
You've done all the writing for this new. Is it going to be EP?
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 songs.
Yep.
You've done all the song. You've already written the songs. Getting it recorded.
We're recording, in the process of recording now. Right now they're demos. So there's just stuff we've been working on behind the scenes and haven't really truly announced much of anything because it's still kind of in the baby stages.
Okay.
But we have a plan, and we're really excited. We think this is going to resonate quite a bit with people.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. You tend to lean toward sort of the entrepreneurial side of things. You tend to try to follow your heart and your passion.
Yeah.
And to me, there's a sense of spirituality about trying to follow your heart and your passion. Like, so you had this Mormon background. That's not what you identify with anymore. No. But what does that sense of spirituality feel like when you think about like this thing in you that wants to follow your heart, follow your passion, sort of be entrepreneurial, take risks, even though you have self-doubt, even though you have, you're constantly maybe have to work yourself into like going for it at times.
I think my biggest motivator has been energy, just feeling what's right at the time. And I hear it a lot now, manifestation. I've been writing down a lot of what I want in life. And, I think immediately if I want something, I'm dead set on it. Like back when I wanted to work for 96.5 The Buzz in high school, I knew like if I just meet the right people, if I network, and that's what I wanted to do. And I ended up eventually working for them. Like that's kind of, I wish I had all these examples of how many times that's happened to me, of just wanting something so bad and going after it and just like taking every single avenue that it would take to get me there. And so I just had to be open to it, open to possibilities and taking the risk and actually going for it, because you can always get in your head and tell yourself this is not going to work out. But then, like I said, whenever I was interviewed for the wedding singing job, I was like, when am I ever going to do this again? When am I going to get this opportunity? This is something I've waited for, and I'm not going to talk myself out of it now. So,
I think I think so many people stop short of taking risks because of fear, self-doubt. They talk themselves out of it, all these kind of things. And that's not to say that everybody is wired to be an entrepreneur or to take risks that way. It's probably a smaller percent of the population that actually lives on that risky edge. I would be sort of like, I started my own church back in 1990 with zero people, with zero money, with zero facilities, with zero backing, raised my funds, all that kind of stuff. And then like now what I'm doing now with Spirituality Adventures almost feels like back to square one again, right? And starting all over. Like I feel like a teenager again, and I'm like, oh no, crap, I don't know if this is going to work, and all these kind of, self-doubts again. But if I try to think of doing anything else, it's just like, people are like, well, why don't you sell insurance? Why don't you sell houses? Why don't you sell, cars? Why don't you sell well, I love I'm a bicycle guy. If I wanted to sell anything, it'd probably be bikes, but I really I've never had a passion for anything except what I would call spirituality. So like with Spirituality Adventures, I say my purpose is to help ignite spiritual growth and transformation through, and I do blogs, and I do the podcasts, and I do, like Bible teaching and events and different things like that. But for me, it's always been about the sense of like, well, this is kind of what I'm made for. This is what God called me to do. And it seems like when I teach and when I do certain things, like something happens, with people spiritually. And I have a friend who is a local independent artist here in Kansas City who likes to say he likes to curate transcendence. Now, he's a performer.
Love that.
His name's Calvin Arsinia, and he does he plays a harp, and he does other instruments. But I always thought that's a cool way to talk about
I like it.
Songwriting and performing is a curator of transcendence. Because if you think about when you're performing, and you can have those moments where it feels like the room synced up, the people are synced up, the music is synced, something's happening that's connecting you, your band, the audience, and there's something tangible about it. You can feel it at a Chiefs game when 80,000 people are cheering for Mahomes. I was at the Dallas game a few weeks ago, but you can feel it in a small room where people are gathered, and the music does something spiritual and connects people.
Absolutely.
And that's what I've always, music touches me emotionally. Music connects me to people. Music transcends something, touches something that's, I think, spiritual, that helps unite us and connect us together. So I'm just curious if that's, what is that something that you've sensed in your performance and in your music?
Yeah, I'm really a big fan of artists that talk to their audience. I think, yes, you can like perform, but I feel like there's those messages that people need to hear in your own voice as well. I want to connect to the audience and, touch people's hands, like I want to try to make it memorable for them, a memorable experience every time that they come out. And my bassist used to say, if there's anything I can do as a performing artist, it's for somebody to forget that they have rent due in the time of the moment, just like forgetting the troubles, you're leaving it at the door, and then you're going all in and just being entranced in music and the experience. And
it can lift suffering, or it can lift heartache, or it can lift broken dreams for that moment. Like there's something. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So it's very cool. You've had a lot of different experiences in Kansas City. You've met a ton of people.
Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to? What's around the corner?
I'm performing. Try to perform a lot more with KC FLO, and then kicking off the new project and going all in. And this is I feel like this is the time to do it. I know right now I'm 27, and I think I just have like this clock in my head that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for it right now. Put it all in. And
will this new the music, how will they be able to connect with you on your Instagram?
Yeah.
Is that the main way to connect with you, is Instagram? Yeah.
We're going to, as soon as we officially announce everything, you'll see it. I'll have it on my personal accounts too. I'm going to promote as much as I can on it.
All right. Well, very, very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us at Spirituality Adventures. And everybody, if you want to check out, if you know anybody that needs a wedding band, all right, connect with Patrick Lentz and KC FLO, and then as well, makeup artists, and then also coming out with a new band. Give us the name of that new band one more time.
Siren.
Yeah. Siren. All right. Well, thanks for joining us at Spirituality Adventures. Thank you so much, Rachel. All right. See you next time.
Have a good one.
This concludes today's episode. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Remember to like, share, or subscribe to the social media platform that you're using. And then go to our website, spiritualityadventures.com, and make a one-time donation, or you can subscribe monthly and receive our special bonus content. Thanks so much.